A quiet evening turned into a showdown when his family showed up with a prenup. "Sign it," they demanded. I smiled and read it aloud. They were trying to steal everything. Their faces turned pale as I tore it up and walked out. So there I was, chilling on my couch with a bag of Doritos and watching Netflix, totally vibing after what I thought was going to be a low-key Tuesday night. My boyfriend Jake had been acting kind of weird all week, but honestly I figured he was just stressed about work or something. Dude works in tech and sometimes gets all worked up over deadlines and coding stuff I don't really get. We'd been together for like 2 years, and things were getting pretty serious. He'd been dropping hints about moving in together, maybe even getting engaged soon. I was feeling good about where we were heading, you know? Like, this guy actually seemed different from all the other losers I'd dated before. Around 8 p.m., Jake shows up at my apartment looking nervous as heck. He's got this weird energy, like when you're about to tell your parents you crashed their car or something. I offered him a Bud Light from my fridge, but he just shook his head and sat down on the edge of my couch like he was about to bolt. "Babe, we need to talk," he says, and immediately my stomach drops because nothing good ever comes after those words. I'm thinking he's about to break up with me or confess he's been cheating or some other drama I really don't need in my life right now. But then he starts talking about how much he loves me and wants a future together, and I'm getting confused, because this doesn't sound like breakup talk. He's going on about commitment and taking the next step, and I'm starting to think maybe he's about to propose or something. That's when I hear car doors slamming outside my apartment complex. Jake's face goes even whiter, and he checks his phone like he's been waiting for a text or something. Before I can ask what's going on, there's this loud knock on my door that sounds more like someone trying to break it down. Jake jumps up and goes to answer it, and in walks his entire family like they're conducting some kind of intervention. His mom, dad, older sister Sarah, and even his grandmother, who I'd only met once at Christmas. They're all dressed up like they're going to church or court or something equally serious. Update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments so far. This gets way crazier, and I'm still processing everything that went down. Should I have seen the red flags coming? Keep reading because what they pulled next absolutely floored me. His mom, Linda, is carrying this fancy leather folder like she's some kind of lawyer, and she sets it down on my coffee table with this dramatic flourish. The whole family arranges themselves around my living room like they're holding some kind of board meeting, and I'm just standing there in my old Nike sweatpants and tank top feeling completely ambushed. "Sweetheart," Linda starts, using that fake sweet voice people use when they're about to screw you over, "we need to discuss some important matters before you and Jake move forward with your relationship." I look at Jake, expecting him to tell his family to back off or explain what's happening, but he's just standing there looking at his shoes like a kid who got caught stealing candy. No backup from my supposed boyfriend whatsoever. His dad, Robert, clears his throat and starts talking about family assets and protecting everyone's interests. He's using all these fancy legal terms that sound like he practiced this speech in the mirror. Meanwhile, his sister Sarah is giving me these judgy looks like I'm some kind of gold digger trying to steal their precious family fortune. The grandmother, who everyone calls Nana, is just sitting in my favorite chair nodding along like she's the head of this whole operation. She's got this smug little smile that's making my blood pressure rise by the minute. Linda opens up the leather folder and pulls out this thick stack of papers that looks official as heck. "This is a prenuptial agreement," she announces, sliding it across my coffee table like she's dealing cards in Vegas. "We need you to sign this before any engagement can be announced." I'm looking at this document that's like 20 pages long, full of legal jargon and tiny print. But even without reading the whole thing, I can see enough to know this isn't your standard prenup that protects both parties equally. "Wait a minute," I say, picking up the papers and flipping through them. "You guys want me to sign this right now, like tonight, without even having my own lawyer look at it?" Robert starts talking about how this is just standard procedure for their family and how it's nothing personal, just business. He's acting like asking me to sign away my rights on the spot is totally normal and reasonable. Jake finally speaks up, but instead of defending me, he's mumbling something about how this is just a formality and I shouldn't take it personally. Dude is throwing me under the bus harder than a city transit system. I start actually reading through this thing more carefully, and let me tell you, what I found made my jaw drop to the floor. This wasn't just protecting his family's money. This was straight up trying to rob me blind. According to this document, if we got divorced for any reason, I would get absolutely nothing. Not just from his family money, but from anything we built together during our marriage. No property, no savings, no retirement accounts, nothing. Even worse, it said I couldn't work in my field for 2 years after a divorce, which would basically destroy my career. But here's where it gets really messed up. The prenup also stated that anything I brought into the marriage, including my condo that I'd been paying off for 3 years, would become joint property. So his family could potentially get half of my stuff, but I couldn't touch any of theirs. Update. The legal stuff they tried to pull was absolutely insane, and I'm getting so many messages asking for details. The clause about my condo was just the beginning. Wait until you hear what else they tried to slip by me. Would you have kept your cool in this situation? There was also this weird clause about social media and public appearances. Apparently, I would need permission from Jake's family before posting anything online or attending certain events. Like they wanted to control my entire public image and social life. The cherry on top was a section about children. If we had kids, Jake's family would have primary say in their education, religious upbringing, and even medical decisions. I would basically be a surrogate with no parental rights to my own children. I'm reading all this garbage while his family is sitting there, watching me like vultures waiting for roadkill. They're all nodding and smiling like they just presented me with the deal of the century, instead of trying to turn me into their personal servant. This is absolutely insane, I say, holding up the papers. You guys want me to give up everything, including rights to my own future children, and in return I get what exactly? The privilege of being married to Jake? Linda tries to smooth things over by talking about family tradition and how this protects everyone involved. She's using that condescending tone like she's explaining basic math to a kindergartner. Sarah jumps in with some nonsense about how, if I really love Jake, I wouldn't have a problem signing it. She's acting like wanting basic human rights in a marriage makes me some kind of heartless gold digger. The whole time, Jake is just standing there, saying nothing. This guy who supposedly loves me and wants to marry me can't even speak up when his family is trying to destroy my entire future. That hurt worse than anything in this stupid prenup. I look around at all these people in my living room, in my space, trying to bully me into signing away my life, and something just snaps inside me. I've dealt with enough jerks in my life to recognize a power play when I see one. You know what? I say, standing up and holding the prenup in both hands. Let me read some of my favorite parts out loud, just to make sure I understand correctly. I start reading the worst clauses word for word, using this sweet, innocent voice like I'm reading bedtime stories. So if Jake cheats on me, I get nothing and have to leave the house within 30 days. But if I cheat on him, I have to pay his family $50,000 in damages. Their faces are starting to change as I continue reading their own words back to them. Turns out they didn't expect anyone to actually examine their little document too closely. Oh, and here's a fun one. I continue, flipping to another page. If I gain more than 20 pounds during marriage, Jake can file for divorce and I'm responsible for paying all legal fees. But there's no similar clause about him maintaining his appearance. Robert tries to interrupt and explain that these are just standard protections, but I hold up my hand and keep going. Wait, it gets better. According to this, Jake's family has the right to inspect our home once a month to ensure I'm maintaining proper housekeeping standards. And if they find it unsatisfactory, I have to hire a cleaning service at my own expense. By now, even Nana is looking uncomfortable, shifting around in my chair like she suddenly realizes how ridiculous this all sounds when read out loud. I flip to the final page and find the absolute worst part. Oh, and my personal favorite, if Jake dies before me, I get kicked out of any property we shared and his family gets full custody of our children. I would have no legal right to even visit my own kids. The room goes dead silent. Jake looks like he's about to throw up, and his family is exchanging these panicked glances like they just realized their master plan isn't as foolproof as they thought. Update. So here's where everything went completely off the rails. Their reactions when I read their own contract back to them was priceless, but what I did next shocked even me. Was I too harsh, or did they deserve every bit of what came next? Listen, I say, looking each of them dead in the eye. I don't know what kind of women you're used to dealing with, but I'm not some desperate girl who's gonna sign her life away just to be part of your family. Linda tries to backtrack, saying maybe there was some confusion and they could revise certain sections. Now that I've called out their garbage, suddenly they want to negotiate, but I'm way past the point of negotiation. These people showed up at my home, ambushed me with legal documents, and tried to trick me into signing away everything I've worked for. There's no coming back from that level of disrespect. The fact that you thought I was stupid enough to sign this without reading it tells me everything I need to know about what you really think of me, I continue, my voice getting stronger with every word. Jake finally tries to speak up, mumbling something about how we can work this out and maybe find a compromise. But honestly, seeing him stand there silent while his family tried to destroy me showed me exactly what kind of husband he'd be. And you, I say, turning to face Jake directly. The fact that you went along with this instead of protecting me shows me exactly what our marriage would look like. You'd let your family walk all over me for the rest of my life. His face crumples like he's finally realizing what he's done, but it's way too late for apologies. Some things you can't take back, and letting your family ambush your girlfriend with a predatory legal contract is definitely one of them. I walk over to my kitchen and grab a lighter from the junk drawer. Then I come back to the living room where they're all still sitting there looking shocked that their plan backfired so spectacularly. Here's what I think of your prenup, I announce, flicking the lighter and holding the flame under the corner of the document. The papers catch fire immediately, and I drop them into my metal trash can to let them burn safely. The whole family jumps up like I just set off a firework in my living room. Robert starts yelling about how that was an official legal document and I can't just destroy it. Linda is clutching her chest like she's having a heart attack. Sarah is calling me crazy and threatening to call the police. But I'm feeling calmer than I have all evening, watching their stupid contract turn to ash in my trash can. Sometimes you just have to burn bridges to keep people from crossing them again. Get out, I say simply, pointing toward my front door. All of you, right now. They start protesting and trying to argue, but I'm done listening to anything they have to say. I walk to my door and hold it open, making it crystal clear that this conversation is over. Jake tries to stay behind to talk, but I shake my head and tell him he made his choice when he brought his family here to ambush me. He can either leave with them or I'll call the cops myself. One by one, they file out of my apartment, muttering complaints and threats under their breath. Linda tries to give me one last lecture about making a huge mistake, but I just smile and close the door in her face. After they leave, I double lock my door and lean against it, finally able to breathe properly for the first time all evening. My hands are shaking from adrenaline, but I feel absolutely no regret about what just happened. I grab my phone and immediately start texting my best friend Emma about the absolute insanity that just went down. She calls me back within 5 minutes, completely losing her mind over the story. "Girl, you dodged a bullet the size of a freight train," she says after I tell her everything. "Can you imagine being married into that family? They would have made your life a living nightmare." Over the next few days, Jake tries calling and texting constantly, begging me to talk to him and let him explain. He sends flowers with notes about how sorry he is and how he wants to make things right. But honestly, there's nothing to explain. He showed his true colors that night, and I saw exactly what my future would look like with him and his controlling family. No amount of apologies can change the fact that he was willing to let them trap me in a legal contract that would have destroyed my life. A week later, I hear through mutual friends that Jake's family is telling everyone I'm unstable and dangerous because I burned their contract. They're trying to spin the story like I'm some kind of psycho who overreacted to a reasonable request. But the truth has a way of getting out, and soon people start hearing the real details about what was in that prenup. Turns out, trying to steal someone's house and parental rights doesn't look great no matter how you spin it. Emma helps me change my locks and install a security camera, just in case Jake's family decides to escalate things. But after a couple weeks of silence, it seems like they've moved on to easier targets. 3 months later, I'm living my best life. I got a promotion at work, started dating this amazing guy who actually respects me, and bought myself a new car with the money I would have wasted on Jake's ring. The best part? I heard Jake is still single and his family is having trouble finding any woman willing to put up with their controlling behavior. Apparently, word got around about their crazy prenup demands, and now they have a reputation in our social circles. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd been too intimidated to read that contract carefully, or if I'd been desperate enough to sign it just to keep Jake. But then I remember how free and happy I feel now, and I know I made exactly the right choice. My new boyfriend thinks the whole story is hilarious and says he's impressed by how I handled the situation. He jokes that he's going to have to step up his game because clearly I don't tolerate any nonsense from men or their families, and you know what? He's absolutely right. That night taught me that I deserve someone who will stand up for me, not someone who'll throw me to the wolves to keep his family happy. Jake and his family did me the biggest favor of my life by showing me their true colors before I got trapped in their dysfunction. So to anyone dealing with similar family drama or relationship red flags, trust your gut and don't be afraid to walk away. Your future self will thank you for having the courage to demand better, even when it's scary or difficult. Because at the end of the day, no relationship is worth sacrificing your dignity, your rights, or your happiness. And anyone who truly loves you would never ask you to.